Welcome, we're so excited because this is Crocktoberfest. Woo! We are celebrating Crocktober with an awesome gift for you, and that is this free printable Crocktober calendar where you can get all of these recipes and follow along with us so that every day you can just throw your freezer bag contents into your slow cooker and, as they say,
set it and forget it. There are 31 recipes on here, and they are all made for the crock pot.
And the even better part about participating in Crocktoberfest is that if you follow our tip today, then you will actually set yourself up for a no-cook November.
Oh, I would love a no-cook November. Thank you very much. My life is practically no-cook as it is because I live my life by the freezer meal code, which is like freezer meals as much as you possibly can because it makes everything better. But everything. But like, Crocktoberfest plus a no-cook November, that is just the sweetest way to enter winter.
Icing on the cake.
Icing on the cake.
So you can find this lovely printable PDF with all the links to the recipes in the description box below, and we're going to get started.
We better, because there's 31 of them.
Our first recipe is barbecue beef on a bun. This is a newer one to us, and it's so delicious and makes your house smell amazing. So into your large freezer bag, you're going to add a beef roast, some minced onion, minced garlic. We like to use ours from a jar because it saves time, some beef broth, ketchup, brown sugar, paprika, salt, pepper, liquid smoke, dry mustard powder, apple cider vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, and molasses. We're gonna just squish all of those ingredients together right in the bag to combine them, get out our excess air, seal it, and freeze it. Of course, this one gets thrown into the slow cooker, and when it's done, you shred it and serve it on buns. It's especially good if you mix up a little bit of horseradish mayo to put on there.
These slow cooker chicken and peppers are colorful and delicious. We start out with our boneless, skinless chicken thighs in our freezer bag. We're going to add in some sliced red pepper, although you could use orange or yellow as well. We're going to add in sliced onion, minced garlic, olive oil, red pepper flakes, and a bit of salt and pepper. You're going to squish that around in your bag, seal it up and freeze it. And when you go to cook this, it's in the slow cooker for 4 to 6 hours on low. Serve it over rice, and don't tell anybody, but this one can go in the Instant Pot too.
If you are part of our Freezer Meals 101 club, then we have a really easy way for you to be able to do these Crocktoberfest recipes. Actually, we have two ways. The first is you can join us on October 1st for our live cooking class where together we're gonna make the first 5 of these Crocktoberfest recipes. So then you've got your PDF with your printable shopping list, prep list, and of course those handy printable labels with the cooking instructions on them. And you can ask us questions because we're all together cooking it together, just like you're in this kitchen with us, which is pretty fun. But also what you can do is you can add all of these recipes into your custom meal plans, print off your shopping list, prep list, and labels for all of these, and then get this made. Now, what we recommend, of course, is that you double each of them. That way you're gonna end up with your Crocktober and your no-cook November.
Oh, that sounds really good to me.
The link for the Freezer Meals 101 Club is in the description box below. This next recipe is Hamburger Hoobie Soup. It got its name from family friends who called tomatoes Hoobies. So into your large freezer bag, you're gonna add some browned and cooled ground beef, a diced onion, some peeled and chopped carrots, some celery, or I don't always add it to mine because I'm allergic, some diced tomatoes, a can of condensed tomato soup, barley, a bay leaf, parsley, thyme, and pepper. You're gonna squish that all together in your bag. Then you're gonna get as much air as you can out of the bag because air is gonna be the thing that contributes to freezer burn. So we always try to take as much air as we can out. Once you get that sealed and in your freezer on the day you go to make this one, it goes in your slow cooker and you're gonna add some water and some beef broth. This one is one of those recipes that the longer it cooks, the more the flavors meld and the better it tastes. It's also even better for leftovers the next day.
Oh, totally, totally. This creamy, slow cooker tortellini is delicious and very hearty. We're gonna start out with a freezer bag and we're going to add our tortellini into that one. And then in another freezer bag, we're going to add some fresh chopped spinach, minced onion, minced garlic, some diced canned tomatoes, some cream cheese that you've cubed, and some shredded cheese and vegetable broth, a bit of Italian seasoning, and salt and pepper. You're gonna mix that around in the bag, get out the air of both the bags, like Charla said. You're gonna wanna staple these ones together. Make sure you staple above the seal so you don't have any leaks. And then when you go to cook this, you're going to allow it to thaw, and then you're just going to add the non-tortellini bag to your slow cooker. You're going to get that in there and allow it to cook for 2 to 3 hours on low. And then 20 to 30 minutes before you go to serve it, then you can add your fresh tortellini, because fresh tortellini will cook up in a heartbeat. And if you put it in at the beginning, it would be mushy. And then we could not stand behind this recipe if it was like that. So we've written it in such a way that you will have success every time that you go to make this. And it is so good. Your family will love it.
Now, if you are wondering how you can make yourself a no-cook November, even if you're not in the Freezer Meals 101 Club, I'm going to give you 2 ways that you can do this so that you end up not having to think about dinner even one time all the month of November. And that is, you can either make these every day so that you put one directly into your slow cooker. Just take those, follow the recipe, put it right into the slow cooker. And as you're doing that, just put another one right into a freezer bag right beside you. It's so fast to just be like dump, 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 and you prep all your ingredients anyway, so it's just as fast. Christie always says it's just as fast to chop 2 onions as it is to chop 1, and she's absolutely right. Plus, you're only dirtying the cutting board and the knife one time and all of those things. So if you want to assemble one right into your slow cooker that day, and then another one into a freezer bag, and get that bag into your freezer, then by the end of October, you will have all of November's meals completely done and ready for you to eat. That way, you can even do them in a different order. You're not gonna get bored because there's 31 different recipes here.
Double your dinner is probably the easiest way to get started in freezer meals, and we tell people to do that all the time.
And the other way that you could have a no-cook November for yourself is if you set aside 2 days of your life. I know it seems like a lot, but stick with me here. What you would do is one of those days, and it wouldn't even take you the full day, but on one of those days you would do your grocery shopping and your prep to double each of these meals. And then the following day you would assemble them, because all your prep's done. It's super fast to just assemble them, and you're gonna double each recipe. So again, you're gonna lay out 2 freezer bags, and you're just gonna put the onions in one, put the onions in the other, put the ground beef in one, put the ground beef in the other. Everything's prepped and ready to go. It's so easy to get these done. And then you're gonna end up with an entire freezer with 2 months worth of meals. And then those 2 days are gonna be so worth it.
So worth it. We do it all the time, and it is our favorite way to do it.
The hot honey chicken sandwich is a real winner. The flavors in this one are really memorable. Into your large freezer bag, you're gonna put some boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and then add cayenne pepper. You can add less if you don't like things as spicy, or more if you like them spicier. Some smoked paprika, minced garlic from a jar, brown sugar, honey, vinegar, and some butter. You're going to, again, just squish everything together in the bag, get out your air, seal it, freeze it. This one goes into your slow cooker, and when it's done cooking, so 3 to 4 hours on low or 2 hours on high, super, super fast, you can shred it, and you can serve this one on buns with sliced dill or bread pickles.
The mixed bean casserole could not be any easier. We're going to add into our large freezer bag some chili style beans with the liquid. We're going to add in black beans that have been rinsed and drained. We're adding in taco seasoning, quite a bit of salsa, some frozen kernel corn, or you can add it from a can if that's what you have, and then add in a medium sweet potato that has been peeled and cubed. You're gonna mix this around in your bag. Do you know what the best part about that is? No dishes, no extra dishes. We're going to get the excess air out, seal it up and freeze it. When you go to cook this, you guessed it, it is going in the slow cooker, 4 to 6 hours on low, and yum will be the result.
For the Tex Mex chicken, you're gonna have your boneless, skinless chicken thighs in your freezer bag. You're gonna add in diced onion, taco seasoning, minced garlic, some cubed cream cheese, some drained kernel corn, or you can use frozen, some black beans that are rinsed and drained, salsa, and green chilies. You're going to squish that together in your bag, seal it, get out your air, all the things. On the day you go to make this, you just, again, we sound like a broken record, but you're gonna take those bag contents, put them in your slow cooker, and on low for 4 to 6 hours or high for 2 to 3 hours, your dinner is done. The nice thing about this Tex-Mex chicken and the mixed bean casserole is that I don't know if you noticed, but they use a lot of the same ingredients. They both have the salsa, the black beans,
the corn.
And if you do that, and they're so different though, your family isn't gonna be like, didn't we have something similar last night? Like, no way. These are extremely different recipes, but if you use similar ingredients, it saves you time because you've got your ingredients out anyway, but it also saves you money because you're able to take advantage of sales, especially case lot sales or things that you buy often and know you're gonna use. You can stock up on those when they're on sale. So this is just another way that freezer meals save you time and money.
This chicken tinga is another Mexican dish, but again, very different. We're going to add our chicken breast to a freezer bag, and then in a blender or in a bowl with an immersion blender, we are going to blend some olive oil, minced onion, minced garlic, 2 chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, some oregano, cumin, fire roasted diced tomatoes, and a bit of salt and pepper. Blend that until it is nice and smooth, and then add that into the bag on top of your chicken. You're going to seal it and freeze it. When you go to cook this, thaw and cook on low for 4 to 5 hours or on high for 3 to 4 hours. This is a terrific one to shred up, and you're going to serve it on tostadas and with all of your taco type fixings. So you can have avocado, you can have your shredded lettuce, shredded cilantro, some refried beans, some sour cream or crema. You can have feta cheese, you can have purple onion. If you can put it on a taco, you can have it on this. And it is just a nice departure from having regular old tacos. Taco Tuesday could be zipped up a little with the chicken tinga.
I can't talk about 31 crockpot recipes without bringing up one of my favorite crockpot gadgets, which is the slow cooker liners.
They're a total lifesaver, and if you have a love-hate relationship with your crockpot because you hate cleaning it, this is the answer to all of your woes because it makes cleanup a breeze.
In here, you've got, see how I buy like the mega box now?
I'm like, I've never seen a box that big, to be honest.
I used to buy the small boxes, and actually I get them from Amazon. You can find them in our Amazon store, and the link for that is below. But I would order them, and you know how you can get like where they send them to you every few months, where it's an automatic order?
A subscription.
A subscription, yes. I've had a subscription. But the subscription kept telling me like, we can't
unavailable,
right?
Yeah.
And so I would get an email like every month saying it's unavailable. So I finally was just like, I'm just ordering the big bulk pack, right? But anyway, this is your liner. And I'm gonna get my crock pot and do a demonstration for you. Okay, hold on, because I haven't actually put my dinner for tonight in the slow cooker yet, so I'm gonna grab that from the fridge where it's thawing, and then I will do like a full freezer to slow cooker demonstration for you. So what we have is, ooh, I should come closer and show you. This is our Mississippi meatballs, and we actually just made them in our mega session. I'm gonna put the video for that right up there, but this is not in your Crocktoberfest PDF because it's not yet a tried and true recipe. Because we mean it when we say that we put these recipes through their paces, make sure that they freeze, thaw, and cook up well. I'm covering Christie's face, I just realized. So this one has not yet gone through that process, so we'll have to test it out by eating it tonight, and Christie's family is going to eat theirs whenever they get around to it, and then we'll know, we can tell you, and maybe this Mississippi meatball recipe will be in next year's Crocktoberfest PDF.
Ooh, I bet it will be. Here, allow me. Open from this end. It fits nicely. I don't use them very often. I am a big fan of Pam and scrubbing, I guess. And you can also get silicone ones. Did you know that? I haven't seen them, but I've heard that you can.
All right, so you just dump your bag contents just like that right into your crock pot with the slow cooker liner and add your lid, plug it in, and that's it. Now, you just watched me make dinner tonight.
Totally.
Mississippi meatballs.
I should go home and defrost mine and get them in there so that we can like compare like head to head.
It's always fun when we make the same meal on the same day.
We never plan it, but sometimes it actually happens and it is funny.
Yeah, sometimes we'll text each other and be like, what did you think of this meal? And we'll be like, that's what we're having tonight, or we had that last, like it kind of works out. Yeah. What have you had so far?
We have had the beef bulgogi ground beef. We have had, what did I make the first night? The beef hash brown thing that you made up.
Yeah.
And it was very good. And last night we had the pierogi sausage casserole, which was a slow cooker recipe, and it was an absolute hit. It's quite rich. It was something that we definitely wanted to have a salad with because to offset some of the richness in it. But wow, was it good. And my husband was like, oh, we need to make this one again. So it was a hit.
Okay, so yesterday for lunch, my husband and I had the creamy gnocchi sausage one pot that I had made up, that I just invented with extra ingredients at the end, kind of like that ground beef one. And oh my.
Yeah.
And even last night, like hours and hours later, he was like, that one's going in the club, right?
I love that. I love that. And here's the funniest part. I don't know about at your house, but at my house, then the next time we make it, like months later, we'll make it again. And my husband will be like, have we had this one before? Every time. Have we had this one before? And a lot of times it's like, yes, dear, many times.
For years. Or it might be new. But
it might be new.
But this time we did, in this mega session, we did 100% brand new recipes. And so it was new.
Yeah.
Like everything is new. And they don't even have to ask, is it new? Because it just is. The other thing that we had, so in this mega session, I decided that I was gonna like really experiment. I always experiment a bit, but I was really gonna experiment. One of the things I wanted to experiment with was because raw potatoes don't freeze well, I was gonna try some things with hash browns in place of like raw cubed potatoes. So like quite a few recipes had that. And one of them was a chickpea potato tikka masala.
Right.
And it was killer. It's one of the best recipes I've invented in recent history. Like it is, my kids were talking about it for days. Everybody from like 2 to my husband and I won't say how old that is, but older than 2, really loved this one. And it makes, it's also a slow cooker recipe. It will definitely be in next year's Crocktoberfest celebration.
Definitely.
And it is one where it makes a large amount, like it's a great one for a large family or a large gathering. And we took Christie's suggestion of using some naan from the freezer and cooking it up. And oh, thank you for that.
Good. Oh, it's good with naan.
So good. We almost had no leftovers, even though this is a recipe that could feed like, I don't know, 8 to 10 easily.
I'm thinking of making it as like a side dish for Thanksgiving this year, because I'll have a lot of people at my house and I'm hosting this year.
And the other one that we had that was a huge hit, but I was really confident with that one. There was no, it was an experiment, but there was no real like risk taking involved. I wasn't trying out potatoes or whatever, was the Greek chicken bites.
Oh, yes.
And I serve them in pitas and like they cook up in 5 to 7 minutes. It's so fast. Serve them in pitas with homemade tzatziki and lettuce, purple onion, tomato. I had to borrow feta cheese from Christie because mine was way expired and did not smell right. So I texted her. For those of you that don't know, Christie's 2 doors down. We're neighbors. And so I was like, do you have any feta?
And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll bring it over.
So thanks to Christie, we got to have these like souvlaki Greek chicken pita things, and they were.
Are you gonna tell the rest of that story?
About like that there was. So I was like,
I just saw the container and I'm like, oh yeah, I totally have feta, I'll bring it.
and then it's like, it was the kind of, so usually when I get feta, I get the crumbled, the lazy feta, like the crumbled.
I looked for it the last time I was at the grocery store. I didn't see it. Okay, so the crumbled feta, where do you find that at the grocery store? Because I was looking like where the shredded cheeses are.
Yeah, that's where I find it.
And we shop at the same store. Like
Yeah.
they just didn't have any that day, or I don't know, but I could not find it. Anyway, I get the kind in the little tub with the juice in it, with the water in it.
Liquid. So she comes over
cheese
with
liquid.
this tub, right? And like it feels pretty full
It's full of water.
it's got the liquid. But we go and we're like fishing through, and we find this one little cube. It's like this big, and then we cut it really small
So everybody can have some.
everyone could have a little bit. And then I was like, Christy, I was gonna bring you back the rest of your feta.
Oh, I brought back your sour cream today.
Oh, see how awesome it is to
I know.
have great neighbors.
It is.
Last night, my husband and I were out, and she texted me and was like, I know you're not there, but do you have any sour cream? So my mom was here babysitting our little one, and so I
just walked into the house like I am regularly here, which I am, and I said, I'm just here to borrow some sour cream, and I went to the fridge and found some, and I talked to her son for a while, and I talked to her mom and their little guy, and I'm like, okay, thanks, bye. So I just brought it back this morning.
Our little guy calls her Mrs.
Right.
Which is really
It's
cute.
adorable.
So cute. Okay, I'm gonna put these, I'm gonna plug them in actually, and then we will continue with our Crocktoberfest extravaganza. For the Pinto tortilla soup, in your bag you're gonna add diced onion, minced garlic, diced red pepper, some water, salsa, some chili style beans, a bay leaf or 2, some vegetable bouillon powder, salt, and pepper. This is a super, super simple recipe. Now, if you want your bag to be thinner, you can leave the water out and add it on the day that you add it to your slow cooker, but it's entirely up to you. You squish that all together in your bag, seal it, freeze it. Now, you're gonna add this, of course, into your surprise, surprise slow cooker. And this is a really great one to serve topped with some shredded jalapeno jack cheese or some shredded cheddar if you want. Even though it's such a simple recipe and it's meatless, it's actually very hearty with the beans and everything. And I also like to serve this with some tortilla chips on top, or if I get fancy, then I take some flour tortillas and slice them to make and like bake them to make the little tortilla strips that you sometimes can get in a restaurant. So either way, this is just a really, really nice hearty soup.
These honey ginger pork chops have been around for a while and go great in the slow cooker. We're starting out with our pork chops in our bag. We're going to add in some soy sauce, minced garlic, some fresh ginger. We like to use our squeezy tube ginger because it's already minced up and it's so easy and fresh. Adding in some sesame oil, some honey, and brown sugar. We're gonna mix that around in our bag. When we go to cook this, we are going to put it in our slow cooker on low for 4 to 5 hours. But this is a versatile recipe. You can do this in the oven. You can do these on the barbecue.
This cheesy cauliflower soup is a really nice one for fall. You're going to put in your freezer bag some frozen or fresh cauliflower florets, a whole bunch of cheddar cheese, some diced onion, minced garlic, butter, heavy cream, some cubed cream cheese, some vegetable broth or chicken broth, and salt and pepper. On the day you go to make this, you just dump those ingredients right into your slow cooker. Once this is fully cooked, you can use an immersion blender to blend this soup. And then if you want to, you can make this kind of taste like a baked potato soup, because you can serve it with some sliced green onions, some crumbled bacon, and some cheddar cheese on top. If you want to keep this vegetarian, then you can use imitation bacon bits on top and you still get that same great taste.
Speaking of vegetarian, we have next our vegetarian chili. Into our large resealable freezer bag, we're going to add crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, kidney beans, some frozen corn or canned corn, diced celery, diced red pepper, diced yellow pepper, diced onion, minced garlic, some carrots that have been peeled and thinly sliced, some cumin, some chili powder, some salt, and if you'd like, some chili flakes. We're going to get the excess air out, seal it up and freeze it, and when you go to cook this, you're just going to dump it into your slow cooker, 3 hours on high or 5 hours on low, and you can serve this topped with sour cream, some grated cheese, fresh cilantro, diced avocados, or some sliced green onions.
So I know I'm gonna get the question, what if I don't eat meat? Or what if I'm gluten-free? Or what if I'm dairy-free? Or what if, how can I participate in Crocktoberfest if I have these dietary needs? What I would suggest, if that's the case, because I know that's the case for a lot of you, is that you use this as a guide and you pick and choose the recipes that work best for your family, for your diet, for your preferences. And then you can go onto our website, freezermeals101.com, or into our Freezer Meals 101 club, and you can go to the slow cooker section. There's a button on each site that will populate the slow cooker recipes, and that way you can pick and choose the ones that you want, because we have way more slow cooker recipes than just the ones we're sharing today. As a matter of fact, this is our second year doing Crocktoberfest, and last year every single recipe we used was different than the ones for this year.
Yes, we have that many, and we have more waiting in the wings, so stay tuned. We definitely know what we're doing when it comes to the slow cooker.
So just go pick and choose from that huge variety and create your own Crocktoberfest meal plan.
This was a Charlotte invention that turned out to be one of our favorites, and it is curried ground beef. Into our bag, we're going to start out with our ground beef that has been browned and cooled. We're going to add in minced onion, minced garlic, Madras curry paste, cinnamon, turmeric, fresh ginger, again from our squeezy tube, some diced tomatoes, some carrots that are peeled and diced, some frozen peas, and some salt and pepper to taste. You squish these around, get it into your freezer. When you go to cook this, you can put it in your slow cooker for 3 to 4 hours on low. This one is really nice served with rice, or our family especially likes to eat this one with naan.
The cranberry chicken dump recipe is the only recipe in our Freezer Meals 101 club that Christie and I do not like.
And the funny part about it is it actually has a 5-star rating. The people who do like it love it. So take that when we're telling you we don't super love something, it is well liked.
And the only reason that it is included there is because so many other people enjoy it, and our tastes are not everyone's tastes. So we do try to accommodate for everyone, and this is just one of those ones that is beloved by many. And if that's you, then you're gonna wanna definitely make this. It is also super fast to put together. Into your bag, you've got your boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Then you're gonna add some whole cranberry sauce, some Catalina dressing, and dry onion soup mix. That is it, 4 ingredients, and you are totally done. When you go to make this, you just put it into your slow cooker, of course, and you want to cook it on low for 3 to 5 hours and make sure that your chicken has reached an internal temperature of 165. You can serve this one with mashed potatoes or rice and a side salad or a vegetable. The nice thing is this one does make a lot of sauce, and if you like the flavors, then that sauce is great to serve on potatoes, mashed potatoes, or rice.
Yeah. Do you put cranberry sauce on your turkey at Thanksgiving?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. Right? Yeah, my father-in-law, it's not Thanksgiving unless there's cranberry sauce on the table. And so it's just not a flavor combination for me, and that's okay. I can own that I'm not super excited about cranberries. Cranberry juice, though.
Yeah, me too.
I will drink. Cranberry and ginger ale together, so nice and fresh. These Texas-style ribs have been in our repertoire forever.
Like over a decade.
Really, it's true. We've been making freezer meals together a long, long time. Into our bag, we are going to add our pork back ribs. Make sure you remove that membrane and cut it into segments. If you need to put this into 2 bags, you can, because sometimes I know that they get a little bit big. In a bowl, you're going to add some tomato sauce, some brown sugar, some dry onion soup mix, apple cider vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, chili powder, chili sauce, salt, a bay leaf, and some beer. You're going to mix that around together, spread it evenly over your ribs, and get that into your freezer. When you go to cook this, you're going to allow it to thaw. You are going to add it to your slow cooker and cook these on low for 6 hours. You can open it up every once in a while and baste with the sauce because it is so fantastic. And then if you want, you can crisp them up at the end by throwing them under your broiler or a few minutes on your barbecue. I have an embarrassing thing to tell you, Charla. This weekend, I also made ribs. I had just bought some ribs because we haven't had ribs for a long time, and they were beautiful. I actually slow cooked them in my oven before I put them on the barbecue, and so I put them on the barbecue. I added the sauce. They were perfect, and I had flipped them over this last time, and I was just wanted that sauce to like do the thing, right? And so I just shut my barbecue off. I closed the lid, and I went inside to drain my carrots because I had boiled carrots and we had baked potatoes out of my garden.
Oh, yum.
Carrots were out of my garden too. And I had taken the baked potatoes, put them in the bowl, put everything on the table, went back out to get my ribs. I opened it up and the entire thing was on fire. I had shut my barbecue off, but so my husband it's a propane barbecue, but not propane, but like natural gas. And my husband had laid out these ceramic briquettes to make it an even heat.
Yeah.
And just over time, the grease that had fallen on them, that caught fire. And I burnt them to a crisp. We could hardly eat them. We could hardly eat them. We sat and ate them. It was terrible. And I'm a good cook. And I was so embarrassed. And my son had a friend over. I was so embarrassed.
You don't need to be embarrassed.
I know, but I had shut it off. I closed the lid.
How can you predict that that's going to happen?
I had no idea that was going to happen. And they were perfect. You've had my ribs.
Yes.
They were perfect. And so now I'm glad that Crocktober is here and I get a redo. I get redemption ribs.
Yes, you get redemption ribs.
Because I'm heartbroken that I ruined a rack of ribs. Because they were everything. Anyway, that was all I have to say about that. The potatoes were good.
So this addictive chicken is almost impossible to burn.
Impossible.
Okay, it's not impossible. You could leave it in your slow cooker for like a day.
You could forget about it.
For 2 days, and you could think you unplugged your slow cooker or turned it off. You actually turned it to high, or there are ways you could burn it, but unlikely. So for your not going to burn it addictive chicken, you're going to put your boneless, skinless chicken breasts in your freezer bag. Then you're going to add in some dry ranch seasoning and some cream cheese, and that's really it in that bag. Then in a medium bag, you are going to put some cooked and crumbled bacon and some shredded cheddar cheese. You're gonna get the air out of both your bags, you're gonna staple them together above the seal. Then when you go to make this in your slow cooker, you're gonna add just the bag with the chicken. You're gonna cook that on low for 3 to 5 hours. And then you're gonna shred your chicken, and at that point you're gonna stir in the contents of your medium bag, because then you've already got your cheese shredded and your bacon cooked and crumbled and all the things, so it's super easy to just get that in there. And then if you want to fancy this up a little, because it is not a fancy dish, you can also chop up some green onions and add some fresh green onions on there. You can serve this one on rice, on boiled, baked, or mashed potatoes, or you can serve this one on buns. We have like the best ground beef stroganoff recipe on the planet, and it also can be done in the slow cooker, but it was in last year's Crocktoberfest. So this year we are doing up our beef stroganoff with the beef strips, because this is also a slow cooker recipe. So into your large freezer bag, you're going to add some beef stir fry strips, diced onion, sliced mushrooms, beef broth, some cream cheese, basil, and parsley. You're gonna squish all that together to combine it, do all the things that you do to get it ready for the freezer, and then you're going to, when you make it, put it in your slow cooker on low for 3 to 5 hours. This is best served over egg noodles. And I like to also just cook up some frozen peas. I don't know why, but it just goes so well with the egg noodles. And I think it's because in our tuna casserole,
we have peas.
Yeah, on egg noodles as well.
Maybe.
It's just a thing.
Yeah, that would totally be good. You gotta get your vegetable in there somehow, right? That's awesome.
It would probably be good with broccoli too.
Oh, totally. This teriyaki chicken is super flavorful, and it is dairy-free. You can make it gluten-free. And we start out with our chicken breasts in a bag. You can also make this with chicken thighs if you prefer. We're going to add in some honey, soy sauce, some fresh ginger, some minced garlic, and that is it. We're going to mix it around in the bag, seal it up and freeze it. When you go to cook this, dump it directly into your slow cooker, cook it on low for 4 to 6 hours, and then shred your chicken, and you can serve this over rice. I personally like to sprinkle it with sesame seeds and some chopped onion because I am fancy like that. And if you wanted to make this gluten-free, you would have to do a substitution for the soy sauce, just so you know.
I've been making this tortellini soup since my oldest kids were little, and that is a long time. So I adapted it, I should say, from a Cooking for the Rushed cookbook. Sandy Richard is the cookbook author of those, and I kind of joke that she taught me how to cook, but it's really sort of true. And those cookbooks really were my lifeline when I was a new mom and learning how to cook. This one was in a cookbook called like Getting You Through the Summer, and it was all recipes that could either be cooked on the barbecue or in the slow cooker so that you didn't heat your house up for the summer. So later when I started doing freezer meals, because I hadn't discovered that yet, I had to find a way to adapt this one into a freezer meal, and so this is our version of the tortellini soup. Into your large freezer bag, you're gonna add chopped onion, chicken broth or vegetable broth, some pasta sauce, or you can use the red sauce from the club, some minced garlic, Italian seasoning, chili flakes, water, or you could leave out the water and add it on the day that you go to cook this, and any blend you want of mixed frozen vegetables. And then in another bag, you're going to put your tortellini. You're gonna get the air out of your bag, staple them together. When you go to make this, you cook, it's similar to that slow cooker tortellini in that you don't wanna put the tortellini in it right away or it will get mushy. So you're gonna cook everything else in your slow cooker, and then in the last 15 minutes, you're going to stir in that tortellini. Then you're gonna get it cooked properly so that you have the right texture on that. Now, I like to sprinkle some Parmesan cheese and red pepper flakes on this one. It is a super hearty soup because of the tortellini. Christie always feels like she needs to have like biscuits or buns with her soup.
Or a sandwich, but this one, there's enough carbs in there that I'm like, okay, I'm satisfied. I'll be okay without like crackers.
Right.
Yeah. That lady's chicken is something Charlotte has been making forever, and it has been in our freezer meals repertoire for a really, really long time. It's less than 5 ingredients. If you blink, you're gonna miss it, so pay attention. Into our bag, we have 3 to 5 chicken breasts, or you can do this with chicken thighs. You're going to add in Russian dressing. If you can't find Russian dressing, you can use Catalina dressing. You're going to add in some apricot jam and some dry onion soup mix. That's it. We're going to mix it around in your bag, seal it up and freeze it. When you go to cook this, you want to thaw it, put it in your slow cooker, put it on low for 4 to 6 hours. This is moist, this is juicy and runny, and it's saucy, and you serve it over rice, and you will have like everybody talking about this recipe. You serve this to company, oh my goodness, this is a wonderful, potlucks, this is a great recipe.
It's so simple, but it's a hit.
It is, every time.
Similar to that lady's chicken, this hash brown casserole has been around since the dawn of our time. In a large bowl, you're gonna mix together some melted butter, cream of mushroom soup, chopped onion, shredded cheddar cheese, pepper, and sometimes I also add a bit of paprika. Then you're gonna mix into that some frozen hash browns. Once that's all mixed together, you're going to pour this into a freezer bag. And on the day you make this, you can of course bake this in the oven, but what I love about it is that it does work in the slow cooker. Now this is one that you definitely want to use one of those slow cooker liners for, because this isn't just about like being lazy about dishes. This sticks.
This sticks. The starch in the potatoes will stick.
So it's really nice to have your liner in there. The other thing that I love, I'm just gonna admit these things about ways that I trim time. But if you have any leftovers, I actually just take the liner and like dump the leftovers into the leftover container, and then I don't have to scoop.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Why
So
wouldn't you?
it
That's so
just
smart.
Saves time. Anyway, and then you can just take what's left.
Hey,
stuff
at least
to the
you're not
liner.
like tying a bow out of your slow cooker liner and putting it in the fridge like that.
No.
That really would save time. I can't believe you haven't thought of
Never done that. Anyway, so what I love about this is, yes, you can have this, as a side dish. You can have this for what I like to do is like a breakfast for dinner type of thing. But if you have this one for a brunch, the wonderful thing about cooking it in the slow cooker is then it keeps your oven free so that you can make like the frittata. We have an amazing make-ahead frittata recipe that you should go check out. But you can have that cooking in your oven, or you can have things going on your stovetop or in your oven or whatever. You've got you're keeping your waffles or your pancakes warm in your oven. You know how it is, especially if you're feeding brunch to a crowd. Your oven is necessary. So the nice thing about having this in the slow cooker is that it frees up your oven and stovetop for other things. So that's, yeah.
My favorite thing to do with this particular recipe is when I make it for breakfast, I like to cube up ham or chop up cooked bacon and put it in. But if you're going to do that, you'll want to add a can of evaporated milk and mix that in as well. And it just is perfect. I don't know what the milk does for the ham. I don't know why, because when you put the ham in without it, it's dry-ish. Although on its own, it's just fine.
I agree 100%. And the other thing that I do with it sometimes is right when I'm making it into the freezer bag is I add some cooked ground sausage, like Italian sausage. You could do breakfast sausage too, some ground breakfast sausage, or you could slice some cooked breakfast sausage.
You totally could.
But I always do have to add that can of evaporated milk because you're right, otherwise it's dry.
It's so weird, but really delicious and obviously very versatile. This is lemon pepper chicken, and I have been waiting for this one because this is my all-time favorite freezer meal. It has been at the top of my list every year. Every year at the end of the year, Charlotte and I do our favorites of the new recipes for the year. And if I could have this one on every one of those recipes, I would, because it is the fastest to put together. It is fresh tasting. It can go in the slow cooker. It can go in the barbecue. You can do it on the stovetop. You can do it in your oven. And it's just so darn good. And it's lemon pepper chicken.
You were expecting some big revelation.
It's just lemon pepper chicken. It's so simple. So I start out with our chicken thighs in the bag. We're going to add in some lemon juice, some minced garlic, and it's only a teaspoon of lemon pepper. Like, it's crazy. and just a hint of cayenne pepper, and that is it. It couldn't be more simple, and I could eat this by the shovelful. I should make bags and bags and bags of it. And sometimes I do, honestly. If I bring home just chicken and it's not part of freezer meals like that we're doing together, I will make my own lemon pepper chicken. This is probably one of the ones I make on my own the most, just so that we can have it because we've eaten it and it's gone. To do this in your slow cooker, super simple, on low for 3 to 4 hours. That's it. It's done, and you will love it too.
Some of our recipes today have been a little bit more towards the meatless side. Well, this is like the opposite of that. If you are like low carb or keto, you're gonna love this one because this is our beef and bacon goulash. And in your freezer bag, you're going to add some cubed beef stew meat, sliced mushrooms, beef broth, some bacon and sliced into bite-sized pieces, and sliced onion. You're going to squish that together in your bag, get it in your freezer, and of course, when you want to serve this, you're gonna pull that out of your freezer, dump it in your slow cooker, cook it up, and you can serve this one, I would say, with mashed potatoes or baby roast potatoes, boiled potatoes, baked potatoes, and some kind of vegetable or salad.
This one can be a little saucy if you want to thicken it up. You can do a cornstarch slurry and it just thickens up like a gravy so nicely. If you aren't sure how to do that, take like a 1/4 cup of water, cold water, add a tablespoon of cornstarch in it, mix, and then drizzle that into your slow cooker probably half an hour before you're going to serve this. And mix it gently in there, and it will thicken up and it will allow that cornstarch time to cook in that last half hour. This is baked Italian chicken. Into our freezer bag, we are going to add our boneless, skinless chicken thighs. We're adding in Italian seasoning, a bit of brown sugar, some sliced mushrooms, some diced zucchini, some diced onion, and some pasta sauce. Or if you are in the Freezer Meals 101 Club, you would want to use red sauce for this if you have some on hand, or if you would want to make some. We're going to bag that up and seal it and freeze it. When we go to cook this, you can thaw it, put it right into your slow cooker, cook it on low for 4 to 6 hours. You could serve this with any kind of pasta. You could easily serve it with potatoes or rice as well, probably. Some nice garlic bread with it, some Caesar salad, but it already has vegetables in it. Really, you are getting some vegetable content out of this one. So good.
Yeah, it's definitely like a nice Italian meal at home. Anything that starts with tater tot in the name is going to be very kid-friendly and family-friendly, and this tater tot casserole with beef and veggies is no exception. My favorite part about this one is that it is your full meal. No sides, nothing else to think about. It is done like dinner. Okay, it is dinner.
It is dinner.
All right, so you're going to add into your freezer bag. Now this is one that you can either assemble in a bowl first and then add into your freezer bag, or put it in the freezer bag. I will tell you from experience that it is large. So you probably want to mix this together in a bowl before you transfer it into your freezer bag. So you're gonna add some frozen tater tots, some cooked and cooled ground beef, diced onion, some mixed frozen vegetables, cream of mushroom soup, evaporated milk, minced garlic, dry mustard powder, salt, and pepper. Once that's in your bag and you take the air out, you're also going to add some shredded cheddar cheese into a medium-sized bag, and you're gonna staple that bag to the large bag. On the day that you put this into your crock pot, you're going to cook this on high for 3 to 4 hours or on low for 6 hours. And then you want to top it with the cheese towards the end of cooking and serve it up. Other than adding some ketchup or hot sauce, this is completely all done. You don't have to think about picking up one more thing at the store or making anything else. You just don't have to think about dinner.
One of the other nice things about this one is you just need to have it thawed enough to get it in. You know, if you are like, I don't want to say you're running late, because slow cooker doesn't work really well for if you're running late. That's not the method you want to use. But if you are trying to like leave your house
In the
and you
morning.
need something in your slow cooker, this is a really nice one to just get in there, because as soon as because like you can wiggle your bag, it can go in. Totally. I'm going to take a second and talk about slow cookers. We talk about this every once in a while in our Facebook group. If you have never been in our Facebook group, you should come and join it. It is a lovely place. There's a wealth of information in there. Things you need to know about crock pots. Crock pots have changed over the years. There is, when you look at a recipe and it is telling you to cook, a chicken for 8 to 10 hours, and I'm talking like a whole chicken or whatever, that's way too much. Crockpot recipes nowadays are a lot lower time frame because crockpots have gotten hotter. I think it has to do with government regulations. I've never really found a concrete answer on it, but the slow cooker makers, are maybe recognizing that they might have some liability here to make sure that it is at least at a minimum temperature so that your food isn't in that unsafe temperature zone for too long. So on low even, crock pots are a lot warmer than they used to be. So if you have one from the 50s or the 60s or even the 70s or 80s, you probably can slow cook something for like 10, 11, 12 hours. Whereas nowadays, it's pretty tough to do with the newer slow cookers. So just if you're aware of that, if you are finding that what you are cooking is drying out, even though there's a lot of liquid in there with it, maybe it's just a little bit too long, right? You go ahead and use your meat thermometer, and if you need to shred your chicken or something, as long as it's been slow cooked and it's got the right temperature, you can probably go ahead and shred it, or maybe give it a little bit longer time just so that it's more, pull apart kind of. But I think in general we are overcooking our food because we're using these old tried and true recipes, but the equipment has changed.
Yes, and it is a common issue.
It's something that they talk about all the time.
It's an issue that I encountered personally because I had inherited my crock pot from my mom, and then I had to get a new one because I broke it. I broke it.
Aww.
I took the slow cooker, like I had cooked a roast in it, and I took the ceramic thing and put it on the stove.
Oh no!
Try to make my gravy.
No,
right
you didn't know.
I did, and it cracked, and then the gravy went everywhere. I mean, I'm sure you can imagine the mess that this made. But sadder than that, I had one of the
old style crock pots.
And I prefer those because those low and slow actually tasted better.
Right.
And that went with all of my recipes, and I knew how to use them. Whereas the newer ones, which I had to, had to buy a new one because
Yeah, of course.
I wrecked the other one. The new ones, not my favorite. So if you have an old style one, keep it. You can also sometimes find them at a
Thrift stores, garage sales, that sort of business.
But then you are going to want to just adjust your cooking temperature or cooking times with that. So anyway, absolutely right, and something to keep in mind.
If you were here this late in this video and you wanted to know about crock pots, thank you for sticking with us. I have some beefy rice on the docket here for you, and this is such a good homey recipe, and it's kid friendly, and it's just homey. Homey is the right word for it.
It is, and I love that it's a one pot, everything just cooks up all together, and less dishes, all the things.
We're a big fan of around here. Into a medium-sized bag, we are going to add some uncooked rice. We're going to set that aside. In your large bag, you're going to add some lean ground beef that has been browned and cooled. We're adding in some diced tomatoes, some diced onion, diced green pepper, some salt, chili powder, and that is it. We're going to seal them up and staple those bags together. On the day you go to cook this, you're going to add the bag that has the ground beef in it into your slow cooker. Then you're going to mix in a cup of water and that bag of rice and mix it around. Cook this on low for 4 to 5 hours or on high for 2 to 3 hours.
The Salsa Verde chicken tacos are such a nice alternative to your usual ground beef taco meat because they're fresh tasting and it's so simple to make, but it's just so nice. So into your large freezer bag, you're gonna add your boneless, skinless chicken breasts and some diced onion, salsa verde, and cumin. Seriously, this is another 4-ingredient recipe, and you'd never know it from the flavors in this. On the day you make this, again, it's in your slow cooker. When it's done, you're going to shred it. You can serve it with your usual taco fixings. You can do this one in your hard taco shells or your soft tacos. Or if you are like my kids, you can wrap your hard taco in a soft flour tortilla and you can keep everything contained while still getting the crunch.
That is such a smart idea. I always seem to have leftovers of this one. It is a fairly big recipe, so it's nice for a crowd. And I like to serve tacos for a crowd anyway, because then you can pick and choose what you want on it. Like, not everybody has the same taste. The leftovers, I make chicken enchiladas out of, and they are primo. The barbecue chicken sloppy joes are frugal, they are delicious, and super kid friendly, and just a nice twist on the regular old sloppy joe. Into our large freezer bag, we're going to add our ground chicken that has been cooked and cooled. We're going to mix in some diced onion, diced green pepper, your favorite barbecue sauce, and a bit of tomato sauce. Mix that around, seal it up, and freeze it. You could do this one on the stovetop if you needed to do it in a hurry, but it is another nice one to have in the slow cooker, have it on low, or even just on keep warm. And as the activities go on throughout the day, you can just eat this whenever it's convenient for you, because it is just sitting there ready to go. Serve it with your hamburger buns, just like you would your regular sloppy joes, maybe a salad. It's perfect.
In case this is your first time joining us, I wanted to explain a little bit about why we keep saying cooked and cooled if we're using some kind of a ground meat in these recipes. And that is because if you're making something to go into your freezer, if your ingredients are warm and in the bag, it causes condensation, which can change the texture, and it can again lead to freezer burn, which we're trying to avoid at all costs here. The nice thing about having to have it be cooled is that you can do your prep the day before, and then all of your ingredients sit in your fridge overnight and they're totally ready for you to assemble the meals, which is really nice. But if you are going to be making these directly into your slow cooker, then you don't have to worry about cooling that meat ahead of time. So if you're listening to us and you're like, why would I cool my ground beef before I add it in the slow cooker and cook it up? I just wanted to explain that to you. This glazed ham is actually one that I do for things like Thanksgiving or Easter. It is so easy, and I've been doing it for years, but it's only in the last few years that I've done it as a freezer meal, which makes it even easier. So this year, because we're Canadian, we have our Thanksgiving in October, so me having this in my freezer allows me to actually have this for Thanksgiving. And if I wanted to cook 2 up, then I could pull them both out if we're having quite a crowd, because usually I end up hosting at my house. So for this, you're gonna have your boneless smoked ham in your freezer bag, and then in a small bowl, you're gonna mix together some brown sugar, dry mustard powder, horseradish, and a little bit of Pepsi. You're going to pour that over the ham and give it a rub, then take out your air again and seal this and freeze it. When you go to make this, you put it into your slow cooker, you add a little bit more Pepsi, which is kind of fun to watch because it kind of bubbles up and is, it's just fun. And then this can cook while you're doing your other things, and part of your holiday meal is already done. If you wanted to do this on just a regular weekday or weekend, then of course you could just serve it with some accompaniments and you would have a bit of a special meal anytime you want.
The garden vegetable pasta sauce is a great vegetarian option for your pasta, and it's great in the slow cooker. All those flavors meld together. It is delicious. We start out in our bag. We're going to add fresh chopped spinach, diced carrot, diced zucchini, sliced mushrooms, diced onion, diced red pepper, minced garlic, diced tomatoes from a can, oregano, basil, parsley, thyme, salt and pepper, and some red pepper flakes. Mix those around together in your bag, get it into your freezer, and then when you go to cook this, allow it to thaw, get it into your slow cooker, 2 to 3 hours on low, and then whenever it's convenient for you, you make your pasta, you use this as your sauce, and it is yummy.
For our sweet potato red lentil dal, you're gonna add some rinsed and drained dry red lentils, diced onion, some peeled and diced sweet potato, minced garlic, minced ginger again from the squeezy tube, curry powder, lime juice, salt, and vegetable broth into your freezer bag. You're gonna do all the things you do to get that in your freezer, and then when you go to make this one, you're going to add 1 cup of water and dump the bag contents into your crock pot. You're gonna cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. You want your sweet potato and lentils to be soft. You can serve this over jasmine or basmati rice and sprinkle it with some fresh cilantro if you want. This one has beautiful fall colors and it's got great flavor. If you are still here, thank you so much. We don't often do a video that has 31 separate recipes in it, but we appreciate you sticking with us to the end, because if you are still here, that means you have seen everything that this year's Crocktoberfest has to offer. We invite you to join us. We're gonna have so much fun with this. If you complete Crocktoberfest, we're gonna have some certificates for you at the end that you can share. We're gonna have lots of fun going on in our Facebook group. The link for that is down below. You can come in there and share your Crocktober accomplishments. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. And more than that, it's going to save you time, money, and mostly,
yes, it saves your mental load. We have not been talking on and on about it. Sometimes we do, but really it does save you time and money. Mostly it saves you that mental load, because I never have to think about what I'm making for supper. Do you?
Never. I mean, you guys saw that tonight I'm having Mississippi meatballs, because that happens to be just what I grabbed out and what I knew would work well with what we've got going on today. So I've got my dinner already cooking, and Christie's gonna have hers.
I'll have it soon. Yeah, it won't take long. Again, as long as I can get it thawed enough to be, movable, I can throw it in my slow cooker. It really won't take that much extra to cook it from frozen.
We love this freezer meal way of life, and we invite you to come and check out what it's all about with us. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Crocktoberfest!
Bye!